In a cozy bend of a whispering river lived a little otter named Ollie. More than anything else in the whole wide world, Ollie loved shiny things, but his absolute favorite was a small, milky white pebble he had found nestled at the bottom of the river. It wasn't just any rock. To Ollie, it was a tiny, precious piece of the moon that had fallen from the night sky just for him. He would spend hours floating on his back, juggling the smooth stone on his tummy, watching it glint and gleam in the fading light. As the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the clouds in magnificent shades of orange and deep purple, the sky slowly deepened into a velvet blue. And as it did, the forest began to sparkle. A family of fireflies was just beginning their nightly dance. The littlest ones, absolutely full of fizz and fun, started a delightful game of blink and follow. One would flash its tiny light, and the others would chase its shimmering trail, giggling with faint electronic buzzes as they darted through the tall grass and around the drooping lacy ferns. They zipped and they zoomed, their tiny lights creating a joyful, moving constellation in the twilight. But lost in their excitement, chasing each other farther and farther, they didn't notice how far they had strayed from the great willow, their beloved home. When their game finally wound down, they stopped, panting tiny, breathless sighs. And suddenly, the world felt very, very big, and very, very dark. The familiar, comforting glow of their family was gone. A nervous quiet fell over the little group. Their brave little lights, which had been so bright and bold just moments before, began to flicker with fear, growing dimmer, and dimmer. Back on the river, Ollie was cradling his precious moon pebble, just about to doze off. That's when he saw it. Faint, panicked blinking in the distance, deep within the woods. It wasn't the strong, happy blinking he knew from his firefly friends. This was a scared sparkle. A little shiver of fear went right down Ollie's furry spine. The deep woods could be quite spooky at night, filled with strange looming shadows and creaky mysterious sounds. But his warm, kind heart beat louder than his fear. He simply couldn't float by and do nothing while someone was in trouble. He knew he had to help. With a determined splash, Ollie swam purposefully to the shore, clutching his pebble tightly in one paw. He waddled to the very edge of the dark forest, his whiskers twitching nervously. "Hello?" Ollie called out softly, his voice barely more than a whisper against the sounds of the night. For a moment, there was silence. The flickering stopped. Then, a tiny, trembling voice replied, "We're lost. We can't find our way back to the great willow." Ollie peered into the darkness and saw the huddle of scared fireflies, their lights barely visible. He then looked at the thick, dark trees that towered over them like silent giants. He felt a pang of sadness for the little creatures. He glanced down at the beautiful pebble in his paw, its smooth surface cool against his fur. As he looked up again, he saw that the real moon, full and brilliant, was now rising above the trees, bathing the entire riverbank in a silvery, magical glow. And that's when Ollie had a wonderful, brilliant idea. A truly magnificent idea. He held up his pebble. It caught the moonlight perfectly and shimmered with a beautiful, ethereal light. He knew exactly what he had to do. He gathered the little fireflies close, their tiny bodies trembling. "Don't you worry," he said, his voice full of a bravery he didn't even know he had. "I'll be your beacon. Just follow my light." Ollie held his pebble high, tilting it just so, catching the full power of the moon. A bright, steady beam of light suddenly cut through the darkness, like a tiny lighthouse in the heart of the forest. The fireflies gasped with a soft, collective buzz of amazement. Ollie took a deep breath and stepped into the forest, his heart thumping with a mix of fear and excitement. He pointed the beam of light ahead, creating a clear, bright path for them to follow. He walked slowly and carefully, making sure every single one of the little fireflies was right behind him. Filled with new hope, their own lights began to grow a little stronger, forming a swirling, sparkling tail that followed the brave little otter. Soon, they came to a patch of large, rustling ferns that shivered and shook in the night breeze. In the darkness, they looked like shadowy monsters. The baby fireflies hid behind Ollie, their lights dimming again with fright. But Ollie stood tall and brave. He swept the beam from his pebble across the plants, showing them there were no monsters, only gentle leaves dancing in the wind. He took the first step through the patch, and one by one, they followed close behind, their trust in their guide growing with every step. The steady beam of light continued to pulse through the woods, a beacon of hope in the deep dark. And then, through a clearing, Ollie's guiding light fell upon the most wonderful sight imaginable. The great willow tree, alive, and twinkling with the glow of the entire firefly family, all waiting anxiously for their little ones to return. A cheer of pure joy buzzed from the baby fireflies. They swirled around Ollie in a dazzling vortex of light, their own lights now shining as brightly as the stars above, a tornado of tiny sparkling thank yous. Reunited and safe, the baby Fireflies zipped ahead to meet their family in a joyous reunion. The whole Firefly family then turned towards the riverbank and blinked a special, coordinated, sparkling thank you to the kind Otter who had been their hero. Ollie watched them, his heart feeling as full and bright as the moon itself. His mission was complete. He paddled happily back to his river and slipped back into the cool, comforting water, floating on his back once more. He looked down at his shiny pebble, now resting peacefully on his tummy. It was more than just a beautiful stone now. It was a beacon. It was a promise. It was proof that even the smallest light, when shared with kindness, could make all the difference in the world. And with a proud, happy smile on his face, Ollie the Otter drifted off to sleep, dreaming of moonbeams, new friends, and the light of a good deed.